Hi everybody, I'm the grumpy taskmaster, Michael.
And I'm the bearded wonder, Joseph.
Welcome to the Marketing Guys podcast.
The show where we talk about whatever we want.
Because it's our show.
And not yours.
How are you doing today, Joseph?
Good. It's still early here. And the baby kept me up all night, but, that's part of the fun.
Isn't it just? Being an entrepreneur is not easy, is it?
No. I mean, be an entrepreneur, they said. It'd be fun, they said.
So why did we start doing what we're doing?
Well, I think for me, I don't think there was ever really a starting point. I just knew that I hated school. So as soon as I left school, I started being a freelancer, like, very naively. And so it sort of, like, went from there. And I never really called myself an entrepreneur. And I think you probably get that because it's almost like there's something that's part of you that it just sort of happens. You don't, like, wake up one day and be like, well, actually, I think I like the idea of being an entrepreneur. Because anyone who thinks that will burn out and fail very quickly.
Exactly. Well, for me, it was a little bit different. Everybody who knows me knows my history, and especially the guys on LinkedIn. But I got to a stage in the rat race where I thought, why invest all this energy for somebody else when I can do the same for myself and get more out of it, and do exactly what I want to do. And then you came along. How funny is that?
Well, I mean, the last couple of months that we've been working together have been absolutely crazy. I mean, I've never worked so hard, but I've never felt so rewarded.
Is it only 2 months? I think we are 5 months already.
Yeah, it
Jesus.
feels like it's been forever, but yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, I went from last year being employed as a web designer at a design firm where I was building 5 websites a day, to now we work with some of the most amazing clients on some really exciting projects and some of our own software. I mean, that's really incredible in such a short amount of time. The fact that we work together so well. I mean,
Nobody's going to believe that now.
It's funny. I mean, we laugh because we work with each other all day, every day, and we have to put up with each other.
Everybody is wondering why I'm called the grumpy taskmaster. But someone has to keep control of everything. And 5 websites, you said. So how are we going to get you to develop now 5 sites per day? No, but I believe it's the standard we provide and the quality goes or comes from our customers as well, from the feedback we receive, and in comparison to other companies, what I always really disliked was having an idea in your head without actually thinking about what the client wants.
Yeah, and I think that was where a big mindset change for me. Like I started as an entrepreneur, as a freelancer. Sorry, I started basically at the bottom of the the food chain as far as the business world. You know, I was the cheap guy online that did the cheap and dirty jobs, right? Straight out of school, didn't have a clue about anything, didn't know what a contract was, didn't know what, you know, so didn't know how much I was worth as a freelancer and how much my skill set was worth. And then I think it's funny that how failure or setbacks, you know, I think failure might even be the wrong word, but setbacks, how they define us and how they shape everything in the future. Because it wasn't until I landed a really big client, and don't ask me how I landed them, but I did. And going into that project, the guy was like, most people don't like working with us because we're really picky. And I was like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. You know, it's money. I mean, at that time, it was about 5 times my normal working rate, which wasn't much, but it, you know, anyway, I started the project, and it was during December, it's funny how all my big projects and all the busy periods of my life work-wise always seem to coincide with big life moments. I mean, you know this. I just had a baby and obviously starting a new business. It really awkward. But then I had just gotten engaged. And so I was like having to work. I was working from like 8 in the morning to like 9 or 10 in the evening. But anyway, and I ended up not getting paid. I got paid 50% up front, but I didn't get paid afterwards, and that really shook me, and it was a lot of money. But that actually set the standard for everything I've ever done since, because the quality of work was so high. It was like, yes, this was tough, and yes, I had to learn a hard lesson, and yes, I don't agree with the way they dealt with it, but that's in the past now. But it was like, this is actually the quality of work I want to do. And so from then on, it's like the quality of work has just been getting better and better. But taking that shift from working as a freelancer and then meeting someone like you who shares that same quality of work, but in a different set of skills, it was like we instantly gelled. And then Dealers League was born, our marketing agency. And it was just like, wow, this is really incredible. And it is... They say never go into business with someone you don't know, and I agree with that. But we are the exception. I mean, what happened in our working relationship was definitely unique, and I think definitely it was destiny. I think you can't put it any other way.
Yeah, I always say it's like 2 pieces of a puzzle that really fit together, because we're so completely different.
Well, I mean, we are both fathers. I mean, I have a son and you have cats, so we do have common ground somewhere.
And they're spoiled rotten. They are spoiled rotten. I'm waiting for them to jump onto this podcast and have a little cuddle, as they usually do. But I believe it's these 2 pieces of the puzzle is helping each other, because for you, I have a long experience working in corporate companies, leading bigger projects, and I had all these downfalls that you were talking about, waiting for money, clients not paying, unsatisfied clients, but it always helps you to grow and learn, and you take this with you into the next project, and you think, well, this happened, okay, I as
add
we
another
say,
clause to the contract.
So we won't do the same mistake again.
Exactly.
And Well, it's a learning curve. Yeah, it's a learning curve. Working with each other, we have different ways of working. I'm very, as my name says, grumpy, and I'm very organized. And you're more like the magician behind the scenes, who is sometimes more creative, more playful. But that might be an age thing as well. I always call you. Funnily enough, I always call you the millennial who needs his holidays and his days off, and I'm the complete opposite, the workaholic.
I mean, it's great. I get to work with someone who could be my dad. I mean,
I'm not that old.
No.
Well, I am. Anyway. So, what I've found really interesting as well, apart from these differences, you work currently in the US, from the US, and I'm based in Brighton in the UK. So we not only have the time difference, but we're working remotely, and we have to find a way to communicate and to make things happen to be
and
available.
That's a testament. I think that's a big testament to our working relationship. I mean, come March, April, when I'm back in the UK and we have our own office and we're in the same room, well, will that be a good thing? I guess we'll have to see.
Just imagine he's standing behind you, they're like, faster.
But yeah, it's been good. I mean, yeah, it's been challenging, but you know, with that, if something's not worth fighting for, then it's not worth doing, is it?
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah,
so
it is a journey.
There are plans. Shall we tell everybody?
Plans.
There are plans. There are plans for a
domination.
lovely office in London in a few months. So watch this space. We won't be sitting in our lovely homes in our corners that our partners gave us, who have to suffer with our work attitudes as well. How's it going with your baby and your wife now that you're working full time? And
well, I mean, baby was born just about 2 weeks ago, and we had a big deadline the week that the baby's due date was. You were going on a marketing trip to Germany where you were going to be meeting some of our existing clients and meeting with some potential clients. And that was a weekend-long trip, and that was a big thing for us. We had been planning that for a couple of months, and the baby decides to have its due date right on the same day that you're away or that you leave. And I think it worked out perfectly because baby came 10 days early. But still, my son was born, and we still had a ton of work to do for you to get ready to go onto that marketing trip. And so, yes, that wasn't perfect, but in some senses it was, because we have our own company. I do work for myself, and so I was able to take the time off that I needed, although, albeit only a couple of days. But I'm at home. Right, so I wake up in the morning, and I can start work, and then I finish work, and I can go and see my wife and baby, and so, and I know that I have a business partner who is behind me and who is still working, and still bringing in the money, as much as he resents me for it, and it just gives me all. So although it wasn't perfect as far as business senses, in like family sense, it was absolutely perfect. And although I didn't have as much time off as I wanted, I'm not complaining, because if I was employed, first of all, I would still be probably in England, and probably, not. I would never have met you, obviously, and I wouldn't be very satisfied, and all these different things. And so the changes, obviously, haven't slept since the baby was born. Um, but the changes have been a lot to get used to, but it has been perfect in that in all things considered. And I think it's only going to make me have more reason to work harder. But as business owners, that's what we do. We have life goals. I mean, both you and I have goals for the future. And let's be honest, working in companies who don't really care about you as an employee, there's no real future in that, or at least not in the companies and the fields that you and I were in, the employment that we were in. And working on our own company and the growth, the month-on-month growth that we have had since we started, it's very promising. And so the 15-hour days that we've had to do sometimes, or maybe even longer, it's all worth it. And all the changes, it's been really, really good. So yeah, it has been good. It has been really good, and it makes me more excited for the future. Once I'm back in England, and we're on a more reliable and solid schedule.
Yeah,
we'll be unstoppable.
And on top of all this, we start doing a podcast.
Yeah, we're like, hey, look, we have plenty of time.
Yeah, we're too bored. We have nothing else to do. Let's start a podcast. Now, why do we do what we do? Honestly.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's funny because you and I both have very similar employers, our last employers. We both worked for these marketing web agencies. And I think going from being like a freelancer to running a business, it's more than just the amount of work that you do. Or maybe it goes hand in hand with this, but it's like one of the key differences between going from a freelancer to running a business is how you treat your clients. It's almost like, you're not like, as a freelancer, you work with one client at a time. Running a business, you work with multiple clients. I've lost count of how many clients that we work with on a day-to-day basis. But that's a key difference. And I know that the changes that you've experienced it's almost like our stories almost mirror each other. We went from being employed to freelance to now where we are. And those changes are really take some getting used to. But besides the way you deal with clients, before we get into why we do what we do, what's probably been like the biggest difference for you going from employment to going to freelancing and now to doing your own company, where like you're the face of a company? You're not just, yes, I'm Michael, I'm a freelancer, let me see what I can do for you. You're Michael, I run this marketing agency, Dealers League. Let's see what we can do for you. Let's see what my team can do. We have all these different skill sets. What's been like one of the biggest changes for you, or that you feel like has been the biggest changes for you?
So the biggest and most positive change for me was the customer is top priority for me, and I always chase feedback for the work we're doing, whether it's web design, whether it's an SEO or PPC campaign, or all the other different services we offer. And when I get feedback, I feel now I'm able to make those changes without jumping through hoops and going through all these hurdles and speak to my manager, who's then speaking to a director, who's then discussing in a board meeting with...
And then it just gets put in the bottom of the drawer.
Exactly. And it's not in the queue in our priority. And I find the difference now is that, well, the customer decides what they want, not us as a company. So, and this is a huge difference and we see the results, and it works really well. So
yeah, I mean, just this week we had someone come to us and say, "We love the work that you've done. We want to work with you," and that speaks really powerfully to what we do as Dealers League, as what our marketing agency does. And what you said is key, because I think it's fair to say that we are a client-focused company. I think most people would say that they are, when in actual fact, a lot of them aren't. Like, I know that my previous employers, they were very focused on managing client expectations. I mean, they had a to-do list that had items on from 5 years ago. And their clients, they were like, "Hey, look, this doesn't work, this, that, and the other." And they had a goal that they thought was most important. And if the client's requests or the client's expectations didn't line up with the company goal, then the clients were just pushed to the side and just managed. So that actually ended up hurting them. And because you can only manage client expectations for so long before clients are like, "You know what, we're going to go somewhere else where we feel appreciated."
What I found really interesting was this week, and that was always my point of view, is companies I worked for, they were always so focused on sales. So they had huge sales teams and very tiny marketing teams. Some were sitting in a corner hidden. So since we started, we haven't done anything in sales.
And I think that's a funny point, because a lot of people who hear what you say probably wouldn't know the difference. You know, oh, what's the difference between a marketing team and a sales team? You know, so that's a really funny point, and that's sort of almost the crux of what is different for our company. So carry on.
And as you said, those customers come to us, and we're surprised where they're coming from. I mean, we can track, because we ask them, of course, but we see, oh, this one is coming from a campaign we ran somewhere else, or an article we wrote. But we're not actively. I read something yesterday on LinkedIn. Someone tries to contact, writes direct messages, 100 of them per week on LinkedIn to people, to have 3 calls and 1 deal per month. And I was like, I've never done this. You don't really have to do this. Present yourself, show your brand, show what you are. And this is what we're doing now, and people come to you if they buy into you. So
exactly.
It's the investment, the focus. Listen to what they have to say, and then provide a solution to the question.
And as a company, the way that we use social media is also different. And this is all. It's like, I promise I'll stop drawing comparisons to my employers, but my previous employers. But the way they use social media was as a company. So they would put posts on LinkedIn as their company. Now, we encourage companies to do this. We do this. So I'm not saying don't do this, but when all people see as the face of your company is your logo, and this is what we do, this is our latest article, people are not going to click on that, because that's just boring. You know, I'm not interested on what your 10 tips for whatever are if I don't know who you are.
Download my PDF and I'll show you the future of SEO for 2020.
And so what we do is we use social media as us. You use social media as Michael. I use social media as Joseph. And when we talk to people, they get to know us. They see our face on LinkedIn every day. They see us interacting. They see us liking. They see us commenting. And yes, that's a lot of work. but that's all about our methodology and our philosophy on marketing.
Yeah.
We don't want to shove our product down people's throats. We want to talk to them as people. So although we have our company behind us, our company is talking to people as our faces. People get to know us, people get to trust us, and then people buy into what you're talking about. So when you talk about something, and it does surprise me that, I see all these people and they write posts on LinkedIn, and they're long posts, they're technical posts, they're how-tos, they're whys, and they don't get any engagement. You write the same post and you get engagement instantly. And that's because people trust Michael and people trust his opinion. And that's because we're marketing, we're not selling. And that's the difference. And I think that's key for a lot of companies. And that's inbound marketing and these kind of strategies where you're selling, but through a conversation. You're not selling through bashing people over the head. And we had a very funny story earlier last year where the sales rep, he called me and he was so enthusiastic about trying to sell me the product. And he kept calling me, and in the end I had to hang up on him, but it was very hilarious the way it happened. And then he kept sending me messages, and it was just like, you know what, I don't want to buy from you, I don't want to talk to you because you've shoved the tube down my throat and now you're force feeding me something that I'm not interested in. So it doesn't really matter how good your product is. I might go somewhere else and buy a product which is worse just because I don't have to talk to you. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think next time what we should do is when we get one of those sales calls, we should record them. Yeah, because they are all reading the same script. They don't even believe in their products. For what they want to do is make the quick win, get money in. What happens afterwards doesn't really matter. They
want to get the all expenses paid trip to Rome. Which was an incentive.
That was a good one.
Give it an incentive given by their floor manager just to make them sell more. They are slaves. I mean, let's put it simply. They are slaves. They don't make anything. But it's funny to talk to them because we know their tricks. It's like, oh, no, don't say that. It's like, that doesn't work on me.
Well, what I believe what we're trying to achieve here anyway is to give you a bit of insight what we're doing here, what I'm doing, what you do, Joseph, if you do anything.
Who knows? I just spend a week doing something on my keyboard and then all of a sudden there's a website. Exactly. I said before, you work your magic. Well, what our goal is, I believe, is to help others to grow as well as a business, and to learn maybe from our crazy mistakes and our weirdness, which I really enjoy. So, well, that was a good first podcast, I believe. I think so.
Well,
yeah,
I
if people can,
it.
I did. I mean, if people can put up with us through this, I think they can put up with us in the future, where we're going to get better. We're going to have guests. I can't wait. We're going to have Neil Patel. I mean, so yeah, if people can put up with us, I know, isn't it? Oh, if people can put up with us through this, then I think they can put up with us next week. We're going to be here every Monday, just giving you the story of two incredibly stupid people who who love life and love growing businesses, growing their own business, helping other people grow their businesses. And so, yeah, that's it.
Exactly. Good. Have a good day, everybody.